I think this next sentence is easy to say because we know that our small businesses here in our community have had some very difficult years over the past 3.5 years. We can all agree that small businesses are part of an essential ecosystem of our daily life. Small business has a huge impact in our city, providing jobs, services, and yes, an incredible amount of involvement in our community. It is my pleasure to announce that Hobin Architecture is this year's Outstanding Small Business Philanthropist. Before we move on, let's have a look at this video. I want your attention to the screen.
Hello everyone, I'm Jennifer Conley, Chief Advancement Officer at Carleton University. On behalf of everyone at Carleton, it is a pleasure to congratulate Hobin Architecture on being named Outstanding Small Business Philanthropist by AFP. Hobin Architecture is one of Carleton's most significant supporters and partners in our teaching, research, and community engagement mission. The firm's connection to Carleton starts, of course, with proud graduate Barry Hobin. Barry has been a loyal volunteer and a generous donor for decades, personally supporting students and student athletes, and serving on both the advisory board of the Israeli School of Architecture and Urbanism, and also on our board of governors. But our partnership is truly with the entire firm. Over the years, each and every staff member has shared our mission to improve the study, practice, and public understanding of architecture. The team is engaged in connecting with aspiring young architects and creating brighter futures together. Of course, their nomination today isn't just for their generosity to Carleton. Hobin Architecture has a deep commitment to our community, and charities across Ottawa have benefited from their generosity, including the Ottawa Mission, the Multi-Faith Housing Initiative, the Ottawa Hospital Foundation, Centre 507, Harvest House Ministries, 10 Oaks Project, Salvation Army Bethany Hope Centre, Christie Lake Kids, and many, many more. I've known Barry and many of his Hobin Architecture colleagues for more than 20 years, first meeting the firm principals as they built the new St. Patrick's Home of Ottawa for our city's vulnerable elderly. Since then, I've been deeply moved by Hobin Architecture's sense of purpose, how they live their values, their genuine love of people, and their deep commitment to building a better and more beautiful city. On behalf of all of us, our proud Ravens at Carleton, warm congratulations to you, Hobin Architecture.
As our recipient makes its way to the stage, we are pleased to welcome Linda Newman as well, VP of Commercial Banking from RBC Bank, as the sponsor for the award, and representing the nominating organization, Jennifer Conley, the Chief Advancement Officer at Carleton University. And while they make their way slowly to the stage, let me tell you a little bit more about RBC Bank. RBC is guided by their purpose, which is to help their clients thrive and communities prosper. The company mobilizes everyone at RBC to create meaningful value in everything they do as a bank, but also in ways that extend beyond their walls. RBC knows that they are part of something larger than itself. You can see evidence of this through their investment into charity and through their employees who do good by spending hundreds of thousands of hours volunteering their time and talents in their respective communities. There has never been a greater need for extraordinary leadership to maximize the opportunities and mitigate the risks we face in our communities and across the globe. It is a privilege and a source of pride for RBC to do its part and focus on building resilient communities. A big thanks to RBC Bank for sponsoring this award. Let's bring up Barry Hobin for some remarks. Barry?
Before I come up here, Tilly from the mission said he would strip down to his underwear if I was nervous. And they were comfortable. I have a lot of, on behalf of the firm, thanks for those who nominated us. I would say that charitable giving and philanthropy are very much part of core values at the firm. But we're probably known for what we do in terms of our design work. And that design work leads us in a number of places, the Jewish community campus, phase housing, a number of the charities that we've mentioned, we've actually designed for them. And in addition to that, obviously we have great fun designing houses. I know that Yves Tremblay is here, he's going to follow me as one of the award recipients. Now we're actually designing for one of Yves' sons. That's a really extroverted activity where we want to design something that you notice. We want you to actually believe that we have a sense of purpose in terms of making Ottawa a better city visually. And we've been very, very fortunate to participate across the city. Some of the projects you don't even know, like the Ottawa Humane Society as being one of them, the Innovation Center. A lot of us, people think we just do residential work, but it's actually quite diverse. That's what we do extrovertedly. Internally, the firm believes very strongly in philanthropy in the sense that we are born in community, we are nurtured in community, we owe our success to the context of community. Community is really important. We're very deliberate as a firm about how we do that. Before any partner takes any money out of the firm by way of shares, charitable giving is taken off the top. Because charitable giving is basically who we are. We were born into community. And, you know, I think Dan Greenberg mentioned that community today is under stress to a certain degree. We talked about homelessness. Peter Tilley on the news last night, serving 3,000 meals at the Mission. Who would have thought? Food security being a big issue, homelessness. Katie Burkholder Harris working on Alliance for Homelessness. There's lots of challenges in our society. We are a much meaner, leaner society. Although we celebrate success, and there is success in Ottawa, there's a lot of successful people in this room, there's a lot of people being left behind. And a lot of that has to do with the growth of individualism that sees us as being we and they, separate from. If you drive by the Mission and you see those people on the sidewalk, you actually think they are different from you. The reality is they are us. They are us. Where we stand, actually, we stand because of them and part of it. So that's a really important part. I think of the words of Tommy Douglas, basically the inventor of universal healthcare in this country. He had a comment that said, we should judge our society and our country by how we treat the least fortunate. Tommy Douglas, as you might know, or may not know, was a Baptist minister. A lot of what he was actually doing was practicing faith in action. And he would have known some significant scriptural references. For those of you who have been to a wedding recently, you'll often hear 1 Corinthians 13, the love chapter. Love is patient, love is kind, love is not puffed up, love is enduring, love lasts forever. The reality is that love that Paul is writing about is not about love in a relationship, in a nuptial situation. It's actually love in service. Dan mentioned that earlier. Our love for the society. The chapter before, Paul actually talks about spiritual gift, how we are gifted. And we are gifted in life, not necessarily for our own benefit, not for our own resume, not for it to be noted, but in fact, we're gifted to build community, to make community stronger. I didn't know what to say tonight, but I looked at some of the previous things. I was impressed by a little talk that Ian Sherman gave. Ian I met through working on the Jewish community campus. One of the many, many diligent volunteers. And he put it really simply, you know, as a reason why he gives, really simply, family and faith. He put it down to those two things. And he talked, you know, I'm paraphrasing, but he talked about Sabbath dinners with his family. He referenced Rabbi Bolka in that. And you know what? I have a lot of that in me and what's been given to me. My parents were average folks, deeply talented, not of means. But they gave of their time and they gave whatever they had financially to try to make a better community. They did that without words, a non-talking sort of family, just doing stuff and demonstrating how you could actually do that. I think that's one of our challenges today in terms of philanthropy, how you actually encourage people to give, encourage people to become involved. It's not just about money, it's actually about involvement. So my parents are huge shapers of my life, but perhaps the most, and this is chronologically, I want you to know, because I'm going to talk about my wife. My family came first, then came my wife. My wife of now 50 years, we just celebrated this. I'm pretty sure it's August. I'm pretty sure it's August 3rd, although I kid her, maybe it's August 1st. My wife, I've been privileged because my wife actually worked in the practice and retired maybe 10 years ago. And as the firm grew and our family grew, and she participated in the firm started to absorb the notion that we were a family, we were connected. And so the values of the firm that happened were not separate from business to personal life. They were one set of values. And so that infection is still part of the firm. But for me personally, it's sort of, I want to move away from that narrative that my wife allowed me to do something great. I actually want to focus on the notion that my wife has mentored me in how to be more loving. I come from a non-verbal family. She came from a verbal family. And so that process, so that to me is a gift. And the last part in terms of inspiration really comes from the people who have come alongside. We started as a single practitioner. I think I met Cyril Leader when maybe there was 3 or 4 people in the firm. And then we've grown steadily to 45. The people who have come alongside have actually bought into a set of values and an attitude. And I'm deeply, deeply indebted and surprised by the individuals that come here. There's 2 tables here. I want you to stand. Go ahead. This is a really important group, and I would suggest is value rich. We are blessed to be able to design buildings in our community. We are blessed to participate with groups that make a difference in our society. And I would suggest to you that our challenge moving forward is mentoring that next generation about participating and thinking about how we can do to make Ottawa a better place. Thank you. This is an incredible recognition, but I receive the recognition on behalf of all of those small groups that are doing the heavy lifting in our society who deserve our support. Thank you.